Today, we're jumping right into a really important report from the World Health Organization and UNICEF. It shines a much needed light on a hidden challenge that affects millions of kids all over the world. And more importantly, what we can actually do about it. So let's get into it. First, just take a look at this number, 317 million. That's how many children and adolescents worldwide were estimated to be living with a developmental disability back in 2019. It's just a massive figure, and it really sets the stage for everything we're about to talk about. So, what are we actually talking about when we say developmental disabilities? Well, it's a really broad term for conditions that affect the nervous system. These can impact all sorts of things, how a child learns, how they speak, their behavior, or even how they move. It's a huge spectrum, but the one thing they all have in common is the need for support. And that gets us right to the heart of the issue. Even with these massive numbers, the report makes it crystal clear that our global care systems, they're just not ready to meet the needs of these children and their families. It's a huge challenge, kind of hidden in plain sight. Now, this is where it gets really serious. The real-world consequence of this is that these kids, who are more likely to need all kinds of services, health, education, social, they often run into huge barriers just trying to get them. And that creates this awful cycle of inequality that leads to poorer health, a lower quality of life, and believe it or not, even a higher risk of premature death. So, you have to ask, why is this happening? Well, the report points a finger at one central problem that you see in country after country. Our care systems are totally fragmented. The report really nails it with this quote: "When a system is fragmented, it just means the different pieces aren't talking to each other." So imagine you're a parent trying to get help for your child. The experience can be completely, utterly overwhelming. And this slide, it shows you exactly what that fragmentation looks like in real life. A family might have to go to health services over here, then try to get educational support over there, and then social services somewhere else entirely. They're basically forced to navigate this confusing maze of different institutions, and a lot of the time, there's no one guiding them through it. Okay, let's dive into some of the data to really get our heads around the full scale of this thing. The numbers themselves tell a really powerful story. Just look at this. The rate of these conditions nearly doubles from when kids are little to when they're teens. It jumps from about 7.5% for kids under 5 to almost 14% for older adolescents. And that highlights something absolutely crucial. These are often lifelong conditions that need support that changes and evolves right along with the child. The data also shows us a pretty significant gender gap. Globally, we're looking at nearly 180 million boys affected, compared to about 137 million girls. That works out to a ratio of about 1.5 boys for every 1 girl, which is something we see pretty consistently across a lot of studies. And here's where the global inequality really hits you. The huge majority of these 317 million kids live in low and middle income countries. And these are the exact same places where the care systems are often the most under-resourced and the absolute weakest. It just makes a tough situation that much more critical. But, and this is important, the report isn't just about spelling out the problem. It's a real call to action. So let's switch gears and look at the solutions. The WHO and UNICEF have actually laid out a pretty clear blueprint for how we can transform these systems for the better. Here they are, the 5 big strategies. It's all about creating integrated pathways, making early detection a priority, using technology, training more professionals, and, this one is so important, championing social inclusion. Let's just quickly touch on a few of these. First up, integrated care. This is the direct answer to that whole fragmentation mess. What it means is connecting all the services so a child gets supported seamlessly. From the very first moment a concern is raised, all the way through their teenage years, with health, education, and social support all working together as a team. Next is early detection, and this is just vital. The earlier a developmental difficulty is spotted, the better the chances are for interventions to really work. This is especially true in those first few years of life when the brain is super plastic and adaptable. And of course, in our world today, technology is such a powerful ally. We're talking about digital tools that can help identify issues, train professionals, even if they're hundreds of miles away, and design really effective interventions. This is a total game changer, especially in places that have limited resources and not a lot of specialists. When you take a step back, this whole transformation goes way beyond just clinics and schools. It's about fundamentally changing how we, as a society, think about disability and inclusion. And this is the end goal. This is what it's all about. It isn't just about providing medical care. It's about making sure every single child can participate fully in life. That means we have to break down barriers, things like stigma and discrimination, and create a world where every kid feels like they truly belong. So, the report lays out the path forward. It's a huge challenge, no doubt, but it's an achievable one. And it really leaves us with this question to think about. Are we ready to make the investments and the changes needed to build a world where every single child, no matter their abilities, can truly reach their full potential?